to Top Fives, the show of everything. Top Fives, presented by the Sex Effects. I'm Joey Perotti.
And I'm Sean Day.
And folks, we have just a show. I have no superlatives. It's gonna be decent. I don't promise that it'll be the best one that we've ever had, but I'm really hoping that it's not the worst.
It's going to be all right.
It's going to be okay, you know? Sean, if you give me just a second, there's a spider on my wall.
Oh, man.
It's a small guy, but
it's on air. Look at this.
Anyway,
now we got video.
Oh no. Okay, we're good. Ew, what do I do with this thing now? I don't know. Get back over here.
Yo, you have ever been in a situation where you try to get the spider and then you miss? And then you just don't know where the spider went?
Yeah, no, that's why I'm terrified of spiders, because they move so quick. And I always think of that moment in the first Spider-Man movie when they're looking at the 5 genetically enhanced super spiders on the field trip in the very beginning of the movie, and you see the one spider jump from a little twig to another twig.
Dude.
Every time I see a spider, I think it's going to leap at me. And they're all very like poisonous, right? Yeah. They're all, and even if they're not poisonous, I don't want that fucking thing on me. It grosses me out. I'm not good with spiders. I'm really not good with spiders. Anyway.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing? How you doing this week?
Good. Man. Super jazzed for this week. Joey and I had a phone call yesterday, and we were talking about some future music of Blind Issues and how we're going to kind of go about doing that since we're all stuck here in the quarantine and everything. So
yeah, we'd been talking about getting a place, what was it, maybe for May or something like that, to just jam and work on music. And obviously we're now in July and we can't do any of that. So I'm excited. I hope that we're able to do something. We're going to be able to do something, right? You know,
it's crazy what you can do now with technology, but I'm glad that, because especially we're all working from different spots and different locations. So trying to do that is like a whole nother thing. Figured out a way to do it. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, guys. Getting like mad allergies today.
Like I said, I told you at the top of the show that it wasn't going to be our best, but
we got spiders and allergies.
You guys had to see me in my shorts if you're watching this on YouTube.
A few times. But yeah, I'm super stoked for that, dude. It's going to be really cool. And, we've been talking about it for a minute. So, it's something that, especially with us playing some shows as Blind Issues again and kind of, coming back as a band. And I feel like all of us are kind of on board
Don't call it a comeback.
To work on. Don't call it a comeback. Yeah. But yeah, I think just talking yesterday and just kind of working on stuff and listening to some of the demos we put together gets me really excited. Hey, what's up, Marty?
Yeah, this guy's been just walking around, so I thought I'd just hold him for a second.
We got a guest appearance from Marty. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if the imaginary audience has seen this guy yet, but yeah.
I know,
This is Martin Scorsese.
This is
he has the same eyebrows as the acclaimed director, if you can notice.
I might do the rest of the show with my glasses.
There you go. You look very sexy without the glasses.
But yeah, dude, especially during times of I know you're back at work and doing stuff, and I'm doing some stuff here, but it's cool to have that creative thing to work on, and I'm really stoked to have that. Oh, here's my.
Oh, hey, look at us. What is this show?
This is his spot. He always likes to sit here. So if you see
it,
it's kind of awkward. But
if this was thicker, Marty would definitely make that his spot.
Yeah. So I'm excited, dude. Especially for the last, few months of just kind of all this stuff happening. It's good to have something to look forward to and kind of get jazzed about. So, and this is kind of our. I know the podcast is one of our creative extensions of from Joey and I, but the band Blind Issues, we really that was
their first, bro.
That was it was first before Top Fives and
gosh.
But you know what? It is great to say that even the podcast, coming out of the band, and we had the Sex Effects, Joey and I in that band. It is cool to kind of see that we've continued to be creative and have an outlet for that, and the podcast is one of many facets that we have.
Yeah.
to kind of do that. So
Well, that's kind of why we've kind of made the Sex Effects more of a brand than anything, right? You know, presented by Sex. It's like because we do a lot of different things, and I enjoy all of them. It's just we collaborate well. You're my favorite collaborator.
we do well.
We do. So yeah, man, very good. Glad everything is going well.
And man, our thing yesterday too. Yeah, you pitched like another great idea too, which I think would be super cool. So
that could be fun. That could
writing
be fun.
Music and stories together, like hand in hand. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff. So
Treating,
I am super jazzed this week just to think about all that stuff.
Me too.
Anyways,
friend.
Joe, how are you doing? I've talked too much about it.
Dude, no, I'm doing great, man. Let's see what I do. Let me tell you. I've got a little story that's going to segue into my list, if that's okay. If you'll permit me. So where does the story begin? I watched Monday night a documentary on the Criterion Channel called California Typewriter. And it follows a few different people. Tom Hanks is in it. He's a typewriter enthusiast. He says he has over like 250 typewriters.
Oh, whoa.
There's this like British Canadian collector who's just like, I'm looking for like this very rare one, and there's an a cappella group that they only use typewriters as like their instruments.
What?
So it's like
That's crazy.
Ding. It's very cool. But then there's also the store owner from Berkeley who's had his store for like 70 years. They just closed, I read, in January. But it was very interesting, and it made me appreciate typewriters. I've always loved... I like analog technology. I consider myself an old soul. I prefer listening to records. It's my preferred way to listen to music. I love technology. I've always loved technology, but it also kind of makes me weary and long for the days when we had less of it. So I watched this documentary, and immediately I get on Craigslist, and I'm like, I need a typewriter. I had a typewriter from my ex that doesn't really work. It hasn't worked since like 2013 or 2014. So it was time that I got something, and not necessarily throw away the one from my past, but put it away,
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm on Craigslist, and there's a person in Santa Cruz who has 2 typewriters for $75, or one you can take each for $50, but they preferred to sell them together. And they had one that was just beautiful that I really wanted. And the other one was kind of cool. So I emailed them. The post had been up for like 16 hours. Emailed them at like 10 o'clock at night, and they're like, yeah, sure, cool, it's yours. So I drove down. I had the afternoon off Tuesday, and I drove down to Santa Cruz and to pick up these typewriters. And I want to show you them because they're so cool. So I'm going to show you the one. Just sit there. So this one was the one that I wouldn't have chosen it.
Okay.
Look at this guy. This is an
Woo,
Underwood standard. So the guy tells me that this was it was all through World War II with one of their family members. He trucked this around World War II, and I guess it was like the official like war journalist's typewriter during the war.
Yeah.
So this is
a cool story.
It's a nice piece, and it's heavy. This is a full-on freaking typewriter. But it's, once I learned that history, because I was like, I can sell them or whatever the fuck. But once I learned the history, it's like, well, I kind of like this one. I might hold on to it. I don't know yet. But this is the one that caught my eye. Look at this beautiful girl.
Oh, wow.
This is a Corona Sterling 1938 in Burgundy.
Wow,
2A
like
series.
Really good condition, too.
Look at that beautiful thing. It's in beautiful working condition. I'm going to take it to a shop, I think maybe Saturday, and get it a little tune-up. The middle piece that holds the ribbon, the ink ribbon, is called, I shit you not, the ribbon vibrator. And I think I did something to it when I was changing the ink, because now it stays up. So when you're typing, you can't see what you're writing. I need to get that fixed. There's a couple little things, like if I hold the shift button, it tabs, and I can't have that. Because if I'm on a roll, you just all of a sudden your first letter's there and the rest of the word is over here. There's no exclamation point on this keyboard.
Oh, it's so weird. Okay.
Isn't that wild? I've never seen that before. Anyway, I'm in love with this machine. I've named it Lana Long, and that one's Veronica Vale. Where's it going with this? So I'm going to get this guy tuned up. This is going to be my typer. Like, you get in a different mood when you're writing, and you're just and you hear the keys. It's not the same as and I kind of liken it to so like not all day, but off and on during the day, and then like for a couple hours after work and shit, I was just going to town on this typer. And you don't type like you type on a keyboard. You're and you really got to pound this thing is violent. It engraves into the paper. You know what I mean? Like you can feel it like Daredevil. So where's I going with this? So and it's kind of like learning on a shitty acoustic guitar, and then someone hands you an electric, like a Fender or a Gibson for the first time. You're like, whoa. You know what I mean? So going from that and then I get on my laptop to write a little bit, and I'm like, I'm cruising like I've never cruised before. It was wild. But I'm very, very excited, and can't thank the sellers enough. This Corona Sterling, I looked up on eBay, is going for $350.
Wow.
I saw the Underwood going for like $150 too. It's but yeah, so I think I'm going to get this guy professionally handled, because it's just gorgeous and I don't want to fuck it up. But that guy, the Underwood, I'm going to make that my little personal project, and I'm going to get materials, and I'm going to try to refurbish it myself. And
okay.
Yeah, we'll see how I do. I don't
cool.
know that I'm going to do well, but there's enough tutorial and instruction on YouTube and everything. There's a whole typewriter. My buddy Roland coined. He's like, there's a whole typewriter universe out there on Reddit, on YouTube.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people who collect them. And actually, the room I'm in, my old roommate Polly, she was an avid collector of books and actually typewriters. So she collected a whole bunch of typewriters. So it was, it's definitely a thing to find. It's just kind of like records too. Searching for some very interesting, typewriters, or in this case, That's super cool, dude.
I think we're collectors by nature. You know what I mean? When we were kids, it was action figures, and so these were good finds. I'd be okay if this was my only machine, but I kind of like the idea of every now and then picking up a new typewriter, and maybe that can become my thing where I kind of not refurbish them and work on them. Because I got to tell you, I was doing a little bit on this guy the other night, just changing the ink. I took out I had plastic spools, plastic spool ink not cartridges, but and I pull out the ink out of this guy, and I was going to throw them away, and then I noticed the spools were metal, and they were original to this machine, and it was engraved, made in the USA, Corona Smith. You know what I mean? So I unspooled the ink ribbon from the plastic one and re-spooled it onto the metal and put those guys in, and my hands were just covered in ink, and I was like, I felt good working on this thing. So I want to continue that and really, so I'm excited to have just kind of a little personal,
super cool,
tactile project to work on, in addition to writing and making music and all that other stuff. So anyway, that kind of leads me and segues me into my first top 5 of the evening. My only top 5 of the evening. The other top 5 will be your top 5, but we're going to get to that. So I want to do a writerly top 5. And we've talked about our favorite authors just a couple episodes back, in fact. But I always love characters that are writers. Because they don't really need a job. They just observe everything, can make smart-ass comments like, yeah. So, Shawnee, who are your top 5 favorite fictional writers?
Fictional writers. All right. Some of these writers are from movies, and I think I have one in my list who's from a TV show. If that's okay, if you can allow me on that one.
Oh, no, it's fictional. So it can be books, movies,
Across
TV.
the board, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a mixture of stuff on here. I got number 5, The Shining, Jack Torrance.
Wonderful.
Crazy movie, and I it's kind of funny. My roommate Dustin, he's a huge Shining fan, so any chance he has to talk about The Shining, or if we talk about that movie, and of course the movie's incredible, and it
is.
I probably watched. I don't think I watched it early on in my life. I think when you kind of, I think you've got me into The Shining and just watching it and watching or my interest for that movie.
But Kubrick box set came out right after we graduated from college, so it was 07, 08. And I picked that up and watched everything in that, and
it's one of my favorite Kubrick films. I think, and especially for the movie and having this kind of of course this writer, right, this author, it is interesting, especially kind of when you see movies or whatever it is, I guess with the kind of the characters or could be the main character or not, when they have someone who's a writer, it's kind of that, I don't know if it's weird, but it kind of breaks that like fourth wall in a way, because it's like,
sure.
Of course this movie was obviously written down, and but I love it when you get in like kind of the headspace of the writer, and especially for this kind of, I don't know, I mean, it's hard. It's like all sorts of different genres, but I just kind of picture it as a horror film.
Jack Nicholson's mind is not one you want to go into.
And that's what's very interesting about watching them, like observing this character and like seeing this kind of this this progress happening with this character, and just how it kind of just dwindles down near the film as the film goes on. So Jack Torrance, The Shining.
Wonderful.
Number 4, I mentioned I started watching this this show, Dear White People, recently, and we've talked about it a bunch of times on the show, and you've recommended it. I really like Lionel Higgins' character.
He's wonderful. Yes, I
really like his character on the show, especially they obviously hit so many other themes with that character, but kind of being the voice, the main kind of voice for the school newspaper and the obviously the controversies that are happening on the school campus. He's such a genuine character, and also tries to tell tell as much of the truth and how he's feeling in his writing. And I always felt like that was a really cool thing about the character in Dear White People. So and his journey, and he's obviously a gay black man too as well. And that kind of journey with his identity throughout the show, it's very interesting, and how they kind of connect it with him and his love for writing and storytelling, I guess. So
I think I think he might be a stand-in for the show's creator and the movie's creator-director.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they don't share a name.
See that.
And I'm blanking on his name. Simeon. I think it's Jay Simeon. But he's fantastic.
He's awesome.
But I've always really suspected. I'm like, I think that's, and I love when I have a couple of those types on my list. But we'll get to
that. So that's number 4. Let's see, number 3. This one's from an animated television show. Tina Belcher, man, from Bob's Burgers.
Wonderful. She writes some fan fiction.
Fan fiction about butts and all sorts of stuff.
Zombie butts, yeah.
Which is probably my favorite thing about. I think she's one of my favorite characters on that show.
She's so good.
It's great because she's like, I don't know. She's like I don't know if she's like the most real character, but she's also awkward and all these kind of other things, and
very relatable.
Very relatable as well.
Very relatable,
and it's really funny when she talks about her fan fiction and her kind of it's very sensual and sexualized in some way or form. So
she's shaking, man.
Yeah. So Tina Belcher from Bob's Burgers for 3.
I like it.
So I've got number 2, Jonathan Ames from a show called Bored to Death on HBO. I guess he plays a failed writer in some degree in the show, but he's a failed writer gone detective, like private detective, which is a very interesting kind of switch. And what's great is he doesn't play the writer all the way through the show because obviously he becomes kind of a private detective, but it's funny because, you know, he tries to tell himself like, oh, you know, my writing, you know, he dives himself so into like private detective novels, like, you know, detective novels, and he tries to pull a lot from that. So I find it interesting that he kind of goes back to his like source material and the stuff he really likes to kind of, you know, try to translate it to what he's doing in this like real world thing where he's a private detective. So, I highly recommend that one. I think I mentioned it before on the show. So, Bored to Death, Jonathan Ames.
Wonderful.
And then for number 1, Mr. Hank Moody from Californication. He was the first one that popped up in my head that I thought of because I was like, the whole show still concentrates on him being like a writer, you know, and I know there's a lot of obviously his relationship stuff, but like throughout most of the show,
it all ties together.
It all ties together. Yeah, he you know still is a writer. You know, he does like, you know, he has some bits with like his screenplay, and it's great because it's kind of like Hank Moody as the character. Sometimes he talks with the mind of someone who's who's a writer, or, you know, has these kind of like lines that he comes back with, or responses to certain characters where, you know, it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of the mind of, you know, a writer, but obviously his dirty mind and his version of things. So I always thought that was really cool about the character, and I don't know, I really like him in that role. You know, David Duchovny is like, it's awesome. So yeah, Californication, Hank Moody.
Well, I like your list. I think it's well known that we would probably share a number 1. Hank, I mean, we'll just talk about him right now because, you know, Hank Moody, man, like, you had the DVD of the first season, my first year in Monterey. It would have been your second. So we're watching it in 08, 09, and I'm just like, I felt like I was watching a future version of myself. I was like, you know, like, it clicked for me. Not, you know, necessarily some of the ickier bits, but just like, you know, the self-loathing, the kind of guilt in trying to do the right thing but not being able to get out of your own way. You know, he's a slave to all his worst impulses, and I think, you know, I get it, and but he's hilarious, and you know, it's his mood, right? That's how Duchovny has described the character. He's like, it's more of a mood that I get into. And if you can kind of sink into that mood, you can have some cool experiences, just kind of like observing everything, being a smartass, and just kind of like, yeah, all right, you know. I feel like Hank Moody's mood is what I, you know, revert to like when I'm sad and lonely. It's just like, you know, I can kind of, it's a protective shell, right? Because you're already at your lowest. Come on, fucking bring it. Pile it on, you know? But yeah, I love the character dearly. He's a piece of shit. He's awful. No one should look up to this guy. Selfish and brazen. But especially as an 18, 19-year-old kid, it hit. It really hit with me. And it shouldn't. For an 18, 19-year-old kid, it should not, but it did. Anyway, so that's my number 1. Number 5. I'm going to go Nick Miller from New Girl.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He writes his zombie book.
Yeah.
And in the last season or 2 seasons, they actually like make it that it did really well. Julius Pepperwood was the name of his book. His detective character, I think, who also fights zombies. But he becomes this famous author and like is really successful. And I definitely see a lot of... I think I want to relate to Hank Moody more than I do, but I really relate to Nick Miller. You know what I mean? And I remember one time, like, we were talking about New Girl, and I was like, yeah, you know, I think I relate to Nick. And my brother's like, Nick's terrible. I was like, I didn't say that it's a good thing. I just say that, like, yeah, I think we're very similar. But yeah, I enjoy Nick Miller, and I enjoy he just kind of dives into it. It's good. Number 4. This is from my nan, Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, she's kind of like she's both Sherlock and Watson rolled into one, right? Because Watson would write Sherlock Holmes' stories after they happened, go on the adventures with him, but he wasn't the mind solving the case. Jessica Fletcher gets herself in these situations, which, why hasn't she been tried for murder at any of these?
Yeah.
Like, she's always, there's 200 episodes of Murder, She Wrote. She's at 200 murders. Like, that's a little suspicious, but whatever. I'll give it a pass because it's like Angela Lansbury. Yeah, so, but yeah, she solves these mysteries. She's a kick-ass old lady. She reminds me of my nan hardcore. And she solves these mysteries. My nan was always reading mysteries. And then she writes about them. It's pretty, no one knows her as this detective. Everyone goes, Jessica Fletcher, the writer. It's like, she does more fucking crime solving than she does writing. Yeah. What the fuck? She's not writing a book an episode, but whatever. Yeah, love her to death. Number 3, this is a bit of a cheat, but fuck it, it's our show, it's my show, we're gonna do it. It's our show. I didn't say, you know what I mean. Henry Chinaski.
Oh, okay.
So this is Charles Bukowski's alter ego. So all of the protagonists in Bukowski's novels are Charles Bukowski. His alias was Henry Chinaski. Cool.
Whatever. Okay.
And so, like, this is a fictional version of him, even though it's pretty close to the truth. He, of course, exaggerates and glorifies. And there's this story about he went to New York or something. He went somewhere on a plane with these journalists or whatever, and I don't know, they were like, yeah, he was kind of terrible the whole time and just all this stuff. And later Bukowski wrote about it, whether it was in a novel or a short story or something, and like glorified himself and made these guys look like idiots. And he sees like that journalist or something later on, and he's like, yeah, well, what'd you think, baby? And he's like, I think you're full of shit, man. He's like, I always write myself as the hero. So like, he knew he was lying. He knew he was a bigger piece of shit than he was putting on the page, but like on the page, he got to make himself the hero. And I've always kind of, in my own writing, it's hard for me to step outside myself a lot of the times. I always find myself making a main character who I don't, by not trying to, resembles me in some way. And that's kind of, I really like Bukowski for that, for being able to just be honest, and you could just change a few letters of your name, and it's different enough that you can be honest and anonymous, sort of. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's not me, it's this guy doing it. So yeah, Henry Chinaski. Cool.
There you go.
Number 2, Holly Martins from The Third Man, Joseph Cotten.
There we go.
So yeah, he. It's my favorite film noir, in large part because of Joseph Cotten's performance. He's wonderful, and he's a down on his luck author. He writes pulp westerns, and no one has heard of him except for like the one lieutenant in the army that is always with the police chief or whatever. But yeah, he's great. He's just kind of, again, because he's a writer, he's allowed to just kind of be a drunkard and wander through the story and observe and comment on things without. It's so difficult when you're writing and you're like, okay, well, what does this person do for a living? Okay, now I got to create the characters that they interact with in that world. How do they act at work? Blah blah blah. If you can just cut that part out, you know what I mean, and just have your character go to the destinations and talk to the characters he needs to talk to, and not like think about, okay, what do they do for a living? Like, it's very liberating. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost a cheat to make your main character a writer, because you don't have to worry about all that extra stuff. Yeah, you got to worry about other stuff.
That's a really good observation right there. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, those are my 5. I want to give a special shout out to Humphrey Bogart in A Lonely Place, only because he plays a screenwriter named Dixon Steele.
Dixon Steele.
Say it with us, kids. Dixon Steele.
Steele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to go with.
Oh man. Oh, I got the giggles now.
Yeah. It's a pretty good card.
I like the top 5, dude. That was very interesting, picking fictional writers, because, yeah, we've done authors, and, I think it was very interesting to kind of look at, especially we talk about a lot of movies and pop culture and stuff, and, I feel like there's not that many movies out there that have, like, kind of a character who's, like, a writer or whatnot, which I always like, weirdly enough, I don't know why I'm, like, so attracted to that kind of movie or whatever, but when there's a writer, it's like there's a character there that I guess would somewhat understand like story and stuff, and kind of like you were saying in The Third Man, right? Like having that character just kind of pop in for specific things, but being able to say what they feel about like their opinions on things, but it's also just kind of someone there just to kind of guide you along. But yeah, I don't know.
And
that's cool.
There's certain things that are kind of afforded to you just right off the bat if you make a character a writer. Like you can assume a writer has a certain amount of intelligence. Now they may be focused on the wrong things, but they're going to be focused on something, right?
Yeah,
and they're going to be able to say things maybe a little more flowery or eloquently. And you can exaggerate parts of their personality, and that you don't have to. They don't have to worry about having so much of a filter. You know what I mean? They can be themselves because your writing is you, and you're writing, and if you're successful, you really get to fucking go for it. And like you can play with ego, you can play with all this different stuff, and there's a certain amount of. I think everyone has imposter syndrome or what have you, but I remember another Bukowski interview where this woman goes, "So when did you know that you were a writer?" And he says, "No one knows that they're a writer. You only think you're a writer." So, you know what I mean? Like everyone has this dread that they're faking it, right? And I think that's a really fun character trait to like play with. I mean, there's so many different ways you could go with it. I'm getting caught up. Now I'm thinking about, okay, what stories can we tell? Who can we make a writer? Is it a novel writer? Is it a screenwriter? Is it a poet? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
That's cool, man. I really, I thought that list was pretty cool because it's looking at some of the other movies, TV, or whatever, but like seeing kind of like those characters and what you said about that makes total sense. Like being able to, those kind of aspects of the character. I like that list, dude. That's cool. Maybe we should do some more of these like fictional.
I know.
I don't know. That's super cool. I don't know what
fictional
else.
EMT officers. Nick Cage bring up
I was
what?
Say.
That's a weird one to go with right off the bat.
Fictional.
What? Fictional baseball players.
That was cool. When you sent me the message for that, I had to read it twice because I was like, is it fiction-based authors or is it fictional?
And that's a list that we could do.
Yeah, but that was cool. I was like happy. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like just being able to kind of go outside of, looking for some of the characters like we feel attached to on that. So, I like that, dude.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna segue into the next top 5.
Hit me with it. Hit me with your best shot.
Man, I had to do some research on this one because I didn't realize there was that many films under this. Yeah. So we might have probably some overlapping ones. But Joey, what are your top 5 SNL Saturday Night Live movies that are out?
Well. I thought there were a lot more SNL produced movies than there.
Me too.
There were there's like 6 of them, and I haven't seen what is probably regarded as the best one. So it's not. I'm not even going to talk about it because it's not on my list, and people are going to be like,
"Which one?"
Blues Brothers.
Oh, Blues Brothers.
I haven't seen the Blues, or at least I don't remember it well enough to put it on my top 5.
Yeah.
I feel like I've definitely seen scenes, but I don't think I've ever sat and watched the Blues Brothers. And I know that's like cardinal sin for film enthusiasts and shit, but
It's all
I didn't do it. So I'm going to start with number 5. I think we're going to share number 1 for this list as well. These are like special episodes when we share a number 1, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Number 5. It's Pat.
It's Pat.
I
haven't seen this one. I haven't seen. Yeah.
I've seen it, and it's, these movies, they're middle of the road comedies, and I saw them when that shit was like high art to me. You know what I mean? As like a 7 or 8 year old. It's Pat could not get made today, right? It's about the whole joke of this character is that you don't know whether it's a boy or a girl. This could not be done today.
Yeah. I haven't seen the movie, but I remember seeing like a trailer on it.
That's the premise, right? And I don't remember anything about this movie, but I do remember that I saw it. And I remember that the villain, who I think was the same villain as in Dumb and Dumber, but I could be wrong. He goes through an encyclopedia. He's like trying to get Pat's diary or computer unlocked so he can read the diary and see if she's a boy or a girl, if she uses pronouns or whatever. And he goes through every word in the dictionary, and it's literally the last word of the last page of the dictionary. That's the only gag or joke I remember from the movie. That's the only thing, but I do remember that I saw it, so I'm gonna go with it. Number 4, Coneheads. This one was a Dan Aykroyd feature that we rented a few times in the Prodi household. I remember specifically him. He has to like play golf in his home planet so that he can go back to Earth or something, and he starts like singing a song, and I can't remember what that song was, but like I have like impressions of it. Like I can remember thinking about the movie while I'm at my nan's house and the movie's back at my parents' house. You know what I mean? Like it's that weird kind of like. So yeah, Coneheads. I don't remember much about it, but I saw it, and as a kid, I liked it.
I just remember the laugh they always make, like that. It's just like,
yeah.
Freaking, is it Dan Aykroyd, right, in that one?
Yeah. Weird concept, but not a super weird concept. It's
actually, kind of a lot of the SNL stuff's kind of way out there, right? I mean, that one's probably the most out there because like they're aliens or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely way out there, story wise and like character wise.
Yeah, but it's not bad. Not bad. Number 3, I loved this movie growing up. I haven't watched it in years, but I kind of want to. I was completely in love with Tiffany Amber Thiessen because of Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of her first more like adult roles. The Ladies' Man, Tim Meadows.
The Ladies' Man.
Who doesn't love Tim Meadows? Tim Meadows is one of the most underrated SNL actors, cast members ever. He is wonderful. He elevates everything that he is in. He does not get the respect he deserves.
Right? He's in Walk Hard. Yeah.
He's so good. He's get out of here, Dewey. You don't want no part of this shit.
He's like the best. He's like one of the best. He's one of the best.
He's so good
in that movie too.
He's so good. I fucking love Tim Meadows. Anyway, it's Tim Meadows for an hour and a half. What more could you want? And he's playing, a ladies' man. I don't remember much about this movie either. I do remember that like all the husbands of the neighborhood or the town, because he's like betting all their wives, they like get together to like try and kill him, I think, at one point. But that's like the only thing I remember from that movie. Man, I wish I remember more about these movies. The only 2 I remember are my top 2. Number 2, A Night at the Roxbury.
Oh, Night at the Roxbury. Oh yeah.
People are very split on this movie. Some people fucking loathe this movie. I think this movie is a goddamn masterpiece. When Chris Kattan is like, how about Friday, are you free? And Will Ferrell takes a planner and unwraps the cellophane and flips to that date, and he goes, I'm clear. That's genius. That is so good. Molly Shannon brings it in this movie. There's so many good. Richard Greco is in this movie. The whole Emilio Estevez story. How long do we know each other? All 7 years of high school, at least. There's so many good moments in this movie. And then I would find out a couple years later that, oh shit, Chris Kattan isn't funny. But yeah, that was like, you didn't like, Will Ferrell was not what he, as we think of him now. You kind of forget that he did that.
Yeah.
You forget that that's Will Ferrell.
That's Will Ferrell in that role. Yeah. Which I really love both them, Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell in that movie.
They're wonderful.
I think they really play off each other very well.
Yeah.
So, dude, Neither Roxbury.
So good. Did you grab my ass, sir? From where I'm standing, it is a physical impossibility.
Yeah, it's a physical impossibility. You know what? I might have to throw that on. Sometime this week, man.
It's so good.
Just for a good laugh, you know.
God, when they're doing the Madonna dance in the car, and he's like, "I broke the window again."
There's a lot of good like scenes, but also kind of like one-liner, moments where it's just like, oh god, like you could totally like, this is their character, like this is the mind state or mind that they're at, and like they do it so well. So
one line that I still frequent, someone's like, "But there's this," like, "But there's no HBO." I don't know why that line really sticks out to me, but yeah. Anyway, number one, of course, Wayne's World. And I just rewatched this like 3 weeks ago. It is perfect. It is a perfect movie, and it holds up. I really have trouble deciding if this is my favorite Mike Myers film or The Spy Who Shagged Me. They both...
Yeah.
They're both perfect.
Fucking good, yeah.
Wayne's World has Dana Carvey. See, it has the secret weapon of Dana Carvey.
Yep. Wayne and Garth.
Yeah. I always wished or hoped that Wayne and Garth would have made an appearance in Goldmember. I remember being a kid and being like, when Austin Powers is on that submarine at the end, like, what if they just walked by? Just like, oh, hey, Wayne, hey, Garth, hey, Austin. Why not?
What's up, Austin?
That's a joke that would make sense in that realm of comedy.
I could picture that in my perfect world.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. They would do that kind of shit today. They did not do that kind of fan servicey shit back then. Yeah. But yeah, Wayne's World. We talk about this movie so often on the show. I don't feel like there's much more I can say about other than I love this movie dearly. It makes me think of you and our friendship. And in fact, the first time I saw this movie, I think it was your 7th grade birthday. I'd gotten you the DVD for your birthday.
I still have that DVD, actually.
Well, yeah, it was a sleepover, and I think the next morning your dad threw it on. That was the first time I saw Wayne's World.
Gosh, when we used to have sleepovers. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
I won't tell you what happened in this. Not that we play video games.
I freaking I love the list, dude. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's no surprise. My number one's Wayne's World 2.
Hell yeah. Oh,
it's got a deep connection with our friendship. I feel it's a movie that's definitely, we actually, funny enough, Joey and I actually dressed up as Wayne and Garth for Halloween one time in college. So, yeah, you're right, man. It hits a lot. I mean, it's definitely a solid movie, and even watching it now, it still holds up. Like, it's fun. I think the Wayne and Garth and kind of breaking the fourth wall and like them talking to like the audience. I always find that part interesting about the movie. Like, oh yeah,
it's endearing. It's very like you feel familiar with them right away. It's great.
Like you're part of their crew, and it's great because it definitely dives you straight into it. There's a lot of great little scenes in there. There's a lot of mock scenes like the Terminator thing where he gets pulled
Have you
over.
seen this boy?
Like it's so good. And it's like that's just like that, like a little joke like that is just enough to kind of like get the good laugh, and it's so funny, and like And then it's like it's great, you know. It has this little like romance. You know, we have Cassandra in the first film, and like you know Wayne's just like head over heels for this girl who's a killer bass player and in this band and stuff.
The
and
depiction of Cassandra is very ahead of its time. It is very like it's ahead of its time in a way that the Austin Powers movies are like dated. You know what I mean in terms of how they present female characters.
And she was like, I felt like she was a strong character. Like I was already in love with her by the time when that Dreamweaver scene comes down. Like you're like, oh my god! Like
she gets off the stage and those guys try to fight her.
And she kicks their asses.
And then she walks over to Wayne. He's like, rough night, huh? Everybody's kung fu fighting.
It's like even the jokes like that, like you know, it's just so like good. Okay, I see what you guys, again, kind of going off of the Wayne's World stuff, Wayne's World and Austin Powers. It is like it's tough to really pick like you know which one I like more, but I think honestly,
Spider Shammy has more jokes.
Yeah.
But it's such a hybrid story, though. It's such a crazy good story.
You're right, actually. Yeah, like hybrid story. There's humor.
But it doesn't have the heart. It does not have the heart of Wayne's World. Wayne's World has such a tremendous heart. It's big and it's beating, and it's wonderful.
And that's, I think that's a good, when you're talking about a good comedy, like especially SNL, if it has those elements, I think. And I feel like that sometimes for me makes a good comedy these days is you got to have something in there. You got to have some guts in there.
Yeah, like those, what was it, the, like Not Another movie series,
Yeah, the
Not
Another.
Like,
yeah.
All they did was recreate scenes from other movies, and they did it poorly and strung it together. That's not, like... it's very frustrating. Yeah. You know what I mean? To watch something like that. Like you watch Spaceballs, right? Which is similar in style of comedy, where we might recreate scenes, but they actually did something different with it, and they actually did something interesting, and it was an actual story. I can tell you the hero's journey for Lone Star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were actual characters. They weren't just shitty actors in
Star
a
Wars
shitty reproduction of a scene that you saw last summer or 2 summers ago. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't mean to shit on those actors or anything that they did. I really don't mean to do that. But like, you know what I mean? Like sorry.
I think that
I'm
makes
on my
for
soapbox
good.
and getting down.
No, I think I agree with you, man. That makes for good. I think especially these days, it makes for good comedy these days because we went through all the parody movies and like, I feel like some people, I'm sure there's a percentage of people who like that kind of stuff, but having good comedy is, I know it's kind of going off a little bit, but when I watch like The Wedding Singer, a movie like that where it's a romantic comedy, but it's got great comedy, it's got a lot of heart in it. It's hitting all these different factors of a good comedy, but also a good a decent story where you can.
It's a story first, yeah. Character first. Story and character. Like the best comedies are ones where the humor and the comedy is born from. Oh yeah, of course that character would say or do that, right?
That could be an interesting top 5 actually. I know we've done comedy based, but I don't know. I think we could spin that even further or go deeper.
Comedy stories.
Comedy stories. Ooh. I like. Okay, so anyways, Wayne's World number 1.
Wayne's World.
Number 5, I did put Blues Brothers. I'm kind of like you. I did see it probably once or twice throughout my lifetime. I can hardly remember the movie though, but I remember there was obviously a lot of musical numbers, a lot of singing,
shout,
and it's a great scene with like the shout and like that kind of thing. So, I think that's one aspect of the movie that I really enjoyed. I'm sure there's a lot of other things happening in the movie, but I like the musical aspect and this kind of thing of all these characters, and I think they have like a band in there too as well, the Blues Brothers band. So Blues Brothers for number 5.
Wonderful.
Number 4, I'm gonna go Superstar.
Good call.
Will Ferrell's in it too as well.
Molly Shannon.
Molly Shannon that's right. And I again, like I think most of the SNL movies I've probably only seen like once or twice, all the way through, or like, I haven't seen like all of them, but this one in particular, I always found it really funny because it's it's kind of like about Catholic school. We went to Catholic school, and it's kind of like the popular girl, kind of like the trying to be the popular girl at school kind of thing. It's like that kind of storyline, but it's so funny seeing these kind of adults playing like school, like kids in school. You know what I mean? Like especially Will Ferrell and his, I don't know what is going on with his hair in that movie, but he looks like a fake Ken doll from Barbie or something. But
he plays everything so sincerely. Like when he's being stupid, he's really being stupid.
He's really being stupid.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's really great.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great moments in that film, and I think they did well to like translate that, like I guess the character from like the SNL, I guess like a sketch to like a movie. So yeah, Superstar for number 4.
Love it.
Number 3, I got Coneheads, which
Nice.
is probably one of the earliest SNL type movies I saw. I don't know in relation to Blues Brothers. I don't know if it came out before or after.
Oh,
but
Coneheads is early 90s. Blues Brothers is 70s or 1980.
Oh,
but I think Coneheads, I think Wayne's World might have come out before Coneheads.
Before that, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Coneheads. I think it's that, it's just that weird. I mean, even just the look of the characters, and like it's just so like you can't really forget like what a conehead it looks like. And it was like the little jokes I always loved because it's like they're aliens, so they're they're trying to do like normal things and like blend in, and so like that's kind of like the kind of joke throughout most of the movie, that they're just trying to blend in as a normal family. So that's super, that's always funny because of course they're doing like weird, obscure kind of things that like their alien species does or whatever that we won't understand. So, but yeah, Coneheads for number 3.
Wonderful.
I think we kind of have a similar. I think we're. You had 2 as Night at the Roxbury, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I have number 2 as Night at the Roxbury as well. So, man, yeah. I mean, you said it. You said it all there in your your talk about the movie, man. Like, I forget Will Ferrell. Yeah, it's almost like it's kind of similar to like Austin Powers, where like I almost forget Will Ferrell's in that movie too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he plays like, but he's like he's like one of the main characters in this Night of the Roxbury film, and
I think it's the straight black hair.
I think that it's the hair. I think they put makeup on him too in the movie.
Oh yeah, probably.
But he looks
Movie
like
star.
way more makeup, or they look like tan. Like I don't know. They look like way
Tan. Yeah, they have fake tans in the movie,
tan.
and he was also very young.
And he was young. Yeah, that
Yeah.
too, man. So, I the movie's funny. I gotta watch it again. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but the very iconic where they're head bobbing, and anytime I hear like that song like randomly, I think of that movie. Like,
What is love?
What is
Baby,
love?
don't
Yeah.
hurt me. Oh man, it's so good. I'm gonna have to listen to that later. That's a jam. That
It's
is
a
a
jam.
jam.
But I can only think of those 2 guys like bobbing their heads every time I hear that song, and and then just like the little, not like stereotypes, but like they're like young clubbers, and they're all about like presenting themselves early on in the movie, and I think that part's funny because they're always trying to kind of be popular, they're trying to be in the light, and they try so hard to do it right. So I always find that super funny about the movie, and yeah, I think it's a classic SNL kind of movie. So
It is.
and then number 1,
Well-
Wayne's World. Yeah. There we go.
Wonderful list, Shawnee.
Yeah.
Man.
I think SNL, like one SNL movie has got to be on my watch list this week, I think. And it might be Night at the Roxbury.
I'm thinking the same. I think it's on Prime right now.
Ooh,
think.
there you go.
Could be wrong. Could be wrong.
Find it.
I hope it holds up. I'm a little worried, actually.
I think it will. I know it's probably gonna be a lot of cheese. Like it's gonna be just like
Absolutely,
like cringy. But I think that's kind of the point, though. I sometimes I do like comedies where it's like it's cringy. Like they're purposely doing this is the character they are, and you're supposed to kind of be like, oh no, dude, like no, that's not like what you do in that situation, or you know what I mean. And that makes it funny, I guess. But
there's. Have you seen MacGruber? Because I haven't.
That one, because I was looking at the list of SNL movies, and I haven't seen that one yet. And I heard MacGruber was a pretty popular.
It was
SNL
it was big when we were in college.
right?
I think it was 2010, 2009.
Yeah.
I think.
And that's who is that?
It's Will Forte.
Will Forte. That's right. Yeah.
And I think Kristen Wiig.
Yeah. She was in that too as well.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that. I mean,
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer's in that movie.
I think Val Kilmer's in that movie.
Man, now my interest is piqued now because I'm like, this cast just sounds very interesting.
It sounds pretty good. But
I haven't seen that. I might check it out. I'm not. I'm obviously not. I don't watch SNL movies all the time, but I'll check it out. But I think Night of the Roxbury, if it's on Amazon, I'm watching that for sure.
Fuck yeah. Right on, man. Well, I'm glad you asked top 5 SNL movies. I hadn't thought of that before. I was like, oh, that's very good. And it blew my mind that there aren't more.
That's what I thought too. I was like, there was, because I was thinking like, what was the one that Andy Samberg, like
Lonely Island?
Lonely Island.
Oh, Hot Rod. That's produced by Lorne Michaels, I think, but it's not like
it's not SNL.
It's not a character from SNL.
Yeah. So
because you think of a movie like The Animal with Rob Schneider, that feels like an SNL sketch movie.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It might be produced by Lorne. I don't know. Probably more like Happy Madison.
When I proposed the top 5 list to you off air, that's what I was thinking initially. I was like, oh, maybe it's like these movies, and I know Wayne's World's one of them, right? Night of the Roxbury, but I was like, wow, that list is like way smaller than I thought. So
yeah, I was really surprised. I'm curious, like what characters would I want to see in an SNL movie? Like, could you make a movie out of Adam Sandler's Opera Man?
I mean,
you could. Would you want to? Or Chris Farley's Lunch Lady? Or when him and David Spade and Adam Sandler play the girls in the cafe? That's pretty funny. I'm just, I don't know. I bet you they're going to try to make a Trump movie with Alec Baldwin. I bet you that if they make another SNL movie, it'll be that.
It'll be that. And that's the interesting thing is, we, especially a lot of these movies were, these are older productions. I know the SNL cast changes from, season to season or whatever. So it is interesting. And I haven't really caught up with SNL to see kind of what characters or what stories they're trying to do there to merit like, a movie or something like that. So it would be interesting to see SNL. I don't know. I don't know if it would be a good move. I feel like, especially SNL, I think it's grown in popularity, especially with all the political stuff, right, with Alec Baldwin and stuff. So I could see it happen, but I don't know what character they would do, honestly. So we'll see. I don't know. God. And all the greats, especially, have been. We had like Sandler and all these guys.
Yeah.
On the show too as well. So,
fuck. We're gonna have to do some more SNL themed lists here. I think.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Should.
Yeah,
we should.
Very good. Very good. Cool, man. Well, hey, Shawnee, I got a question for you.
Hit me with it.
Do you have anything that you would like to share with our dear, sweet, lovely imaginary audience this week?
I just turned around. My cat is like staring straight at me. Actually, this week I started a game. I downloaded a game, which was very interesting.
What game?
It's called Outer Worlds, and it's very similar to Fallout, I guess would be the series. So it's kind of like one of those or Skyrim too as well, where you pretty much talk to people, or it's like a space themed one where there's factions and stuff, and you talk to different people in different towns, and you have a choice of like what you want to, how you want to go. Do you want to be a bad dude or like someone who wants to help people out? So I don't know. I've been just kind of I've been playing some PlayStation 3 and playing some like I was playing some Batman Arkham City, which is a freaking amazing game, and yeah, Joey can attest for that.
Have you ever finished Arkham Knight?
I did not. I finished Arkham. I finished the Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then there was what was the other one? There's Arkham
Origins.
Knight and Origins.
Origins had a very good story. I like the story in Origins better than Arkham Knight.
Yeah, I think Origins. I think that was the one I beat, and then I didn't beat Arkham Knight yet. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's especially just kind of having a little bit of. I mean, I don't have a lot of free time, but like I have some time to like play games and kind of dive into that kind of gameplay, that kind of world where you sit there and you kind of develop your character. But it's pretty cool. It's got like I think it came out this last year. It's got a lot of like No Man's Sky vibes and Fallout. I think that's kind of like the similar kind of look. But it's cool. I think for any gamers who might be interested, I mean I've only played it for a little bit, so I can't put my big review or stamp on it, but I think it's a pretty cool game. And
you're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying it, yeah. Especially because I still love playing like Call of Duty and stuff like that, but like I don't play those kind of games as much these days. It's just and I love kind of the instant like just go a couple rounds and kill a bunch of people, gratification kind of thing. But I do love story-based games, and it's been a minute since I've really dove into a game like that where you really get immersed in the world and you meet other characters, and it's cool. You can have companions in the like people to help you out, so you find other people, and it's kind of got like a Mass Effect vibe too, where you have to seek out like people who have specialties, and I think you have up to like 5 or 6 like people fighting with you, so it's pretty cool. It's not online or anything, but I'm kind of down with like just kind of escaping to a different world and doing that. So
hell yeah,
yeah,
I like
and
it.
That's pretty much it. And then finished season 3 of Dark. Awesome show. Totally recommend it. There you go, guys.
Hell yeah.
All right, Joey, what do you got for this week? What do you got to share for us?
I've got an article of clothing, believe it or not.
There you go. Okay.
So I took a chance, made a purchase via, I've not that they were selling on Instagram, but their business was promoted on Instagram. Quarantine. I haven't had a haircut since March 12th.
That's why I'm wearing a beanie.
You can't really see because it's dark and my hair is dark, but like, hold on. Yeah. This is honestly, a lot for me. This is a lot for me.
I like your hair like that.
Thank you. I've been getting compliments. Usually nice. I have it faded, but I might, I don't know. But anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy right now. So I've been wearing a hat a lot, especially when I'm on walks or just, here and there. And I have this hat, which, nope, not that one. My brother gave me a Tiger Woods hat. I feel weird wearing it. You know what I mean? But I do have this one, the Mariposa Hunters Point Yacht Club.
Yo, cool.
We've been in the yacht club quite a few times, but that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this. They're called storied hats.
Okay.
And so this baby's made of hemp. They've got really cool designs. They're comfortable. I love this. I have it with me like all the time. Got a personalized note when it was delivered from the founder, like, hey man, please, here's my email address, please let me know how you like the hat, blah blah blah. Like, they have really cool designs, really cool colors. So check them out, storiedhats.com, I guess. Yeah. But very cool. I like it. I hope you like it. What do you think? You haven't commented yet.
I really like it, dude. You look good into hats. I like you.
Thank you.
Like, you look. Yeah. No, man, you know me. I never really wear hats, but like, I like the backwards. Beanies has been my thing, and I have the same excuse. I have not cut my hair in a minute, so I'm just wearing beanies from now.
I wish I looked cool in a beanie. I always feel like I look like a sperm in a beanie. You know what I mean? You pull it off. You pull it off well. But yeah, before I get ultra hat hair. But
like
yeah,
that.
so yeah.
That's
Story
a cool
hats. Give them a follow. Give them whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
Good, well priced. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
We'll
cool.
have to look at
They're real cool.
some freaking hats. Heck
Yeah, man. Jonathan, I got one more question for you.
Hit me with it, dude.
Where can we find more of your work on the internet this week?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Sean Day Music. Oh, I have to think about that for a second. At Sean Day Music, and on my website, SeanDayMusic.net.
.net.
Skynet. All right.
Skynet.
Joey, where can we find you on the internet?
You can check me out on Twitter at Joey Parati and on my website, joeyparatyscripts.com. You can check out the show at Top5Pod, that's TOPFIVE5POD on Instagram, on Twitter at gmail.com, and on YouTube. I always forget to mention that one. We're also on Facebook at Top 5 Podcast, and we're on Apple Music, Google Play, and SoundCloud. So please give us a like, give us a listen, give us a follow, give us your love, and we will give you
all of the Saturday Night Live vibes in return. That was terrible. Okay.
That is what you'll get. Until next time, I'm Joey Parati.
I'm Sean Day.
Thanks for listening. Bam, baby.